let's jump to this next story. We got this from Yahoo, BuzzFeed. People are slamming unfunny Joe Rogan after he mocked trans people and made anti-vax jokes in his new Netflix stand-up. Dude, I hate to break it to you guys, but Joe Rogan has the biggest podcast in the world. On Spotify, he is now rivaled by Tucker Carlson. Actually, I'd like to, maybe we should pull this up. Because when Rogan went to Spotify, things did change. Let's pull up the charts here. Apple Podcast, United States. Do we want? We don't. I don't want that. I want all of them, huh? Can you do world? All countries. You can't do it. I'm trying to see if I can do the world. I guess you can only do the U.S. Well, let's do this. Before I pull that up and we go over those numbers, let's roll clip. Roll the clip. And he swears. Here you go.
Just good to see everybody having a good time. The country's almost back to normal before World War III. COVID was just so strange. We lost a lot of people during COVID, and most of them are still alive.
That was good. Look at his face. He knows it.
Right? There's a lot of people that I don't fuck with anymore. Before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, I'm like, I don't think we went to the moon. I think Michelle Obama's got a dick. I think Pizzagate is real. I think there's direct energy weapons in Antarctica. I'm just kidding. I don't think Michelle Obama's got a dick, but I believe all that other shit.
Okay. He literally doesn't believe any of that stuff. It's called a comedy bit, and he's intentionally making jokes. They're mad at him for making these jokes. Oh, dude, just help me out. I cannot. All right, let's do this. So here we go with the Apple charts. And you can see the Joe Rogan Experience is number 5. Oh my heavens. Joe, how are you being beaten by Stacey Abrams? Well, I can break this down for you, and we will talk about it. I want to read some of the criticism for you first, but also I'd like to do chartable Spotify, the Spotify charts. So let's pull this up. U.S. What is there? Is there no Spotify? I can't just get all. If I try and click United States of America, it then asks me, oh, it's all, there is no top. Oh, that's weird. There is, because I checked it before. But anyway, Joe Rogan used to be number 1 on Apple, unbeatable. And then when he moved to Spotify, that basically took him off that real estate. And I do think in the long run had a negative impact. With all due respect to Joe, I think his podcast is probably the best. Basically what happens is Rogan is first in and best dressed. He had a great show. He started very early. He was on Ustream back in the day. And so when podcasts start getting big, he's Joe Rogan, baby. People who open up Apple, they see Joe Rogan as the first and most popular podcast because Apple wants people to stay on the platform. They're going to show you what works. This gave Joe Rogan real estate he could not pay for. When he left to Spotify for the Spotify deal, removing himself from Apple, then people started to watch other shows and it mixed things up. Joe Rogan comes back, still extremely popular, but not in the dominant number 1 position, which when you're number 1, you basically get a boost at being number 1. Still, on Spotify, I think he and Tucker Carlson have gone back and forth the number 1 slot. All right. So what are they whinging about this time? Burn the Boats. This is his first stand-up special since 2018. It's also his first to stream live on Netflix after signing a deal with the streamer this summer. In the trailer, Joe teased that it would feature some ride-home arguments, but stressed they're jokes, folks, just jokes. He doesn't literally think Pizzagate is real. That's the joke. The joke is he's saying he's choosing one of the most outrageous things. And that being said, Joe certainly does believe the Epstein stuff is real because that's a fact now. Within minutes of the opening, Joe was talking about woke topics like trans representation and pregnant men. He said that while he considers himself open-minded, he believes trans men have been too quickly accepted into American culture. Trans men? Is that what he was saying? I'm open-minded. I just want to know what happened, he said. It's almost like a pervert wizard waved a magic spell on the whole world. Imitating a wizard, he woked. With a wave of his wand, you can walk into a women's locker room with male parts. And anybody who complains is a Nazi. Abracadabra. It just works. Oh, man. And everyone just accepts this new reality, and it's effing weird. I just think we need standards. You can't just put lipstick on now and now you can ish in the women's room. I just want to know what's going on. Like, the world got weird. Joe went on to say that he does believe in trans people and fully supports the right as an adult to do whatever you want that makes you happy. But I also believe in crazy people. Oh boy. Somehow or another, that got left out of the equation. All of a sudden, crazy people just went away like the flu and COVID. He also made jokes about gay men who he said doesn't want to be surrounded. He doesn't want to be surrounded by, and jokes about the strange times of the coronavirus pandemic. Joe said, before COVID, I would have told you that vaccines are the most important invention in human history. After COVID, right, we heard that. We heard that one. Viewers quickly took to X to share their thoughts. All right. And now it's time for an important lesson, my friends. There's a reason why I showed you Joe Rogan being like the number 5 biggest podcast on Apple. This is actually a big deal because I want to stress this. The number 1 podcast right now is Hysterical. I don't know what that is. Let's find out. Mysterious illnesses that spread among a group of high school girls in upstate New York. What causes their sudden, often violent symptoms? Is there something in the water? That's interesting. Female viewers love true crime and mystery stuff. I got to tell you this. Culturally, Joe Rogan is the most impactful in terms of podcasting. People just love the show. Tremendous influence. In fact, while he's massive on Spotify, hitting number 1 recently, Tucker Carlson's number 10. But it is fascinating to say this, and I will give you some numbers. I don't know the exact numbers right now on Apple, and it has grown substantially, so it could be very different right now. My understanding is that the top shows generally get around, I think it's like 300,000 views per episode. I'm not entirely sure, but the CPM for ads on these shows is massive. So I don't know where Timcast Morning or Timcast IRL is. I don't think we're anywhere near the top. And don't ask me, I have no idea. We do really, really well on YouTube, but we do not do nearly as well on Apple or Spotify, despite doing actually really well, to be completely honest. Let's see if I can figure out, it's not going to let me look at it anymore. So we're not in the top 100 on Chartable. But let's just pop over and see if it actually shows us. Number 187th biggest podcast on for all podcasts, and I don't think we chart. We're not charting at all on Spotify. I think a lot of people actually ask. They ask us like, where'd the show go? The show's on YouTube, so most people watch on YouTube, and we do pretty well on YouTube. But interestingly, nowhere near the biggest. So you can help spread the word if you want to help us out. But anyway, I digress. The issue that I think we're seeing now is Joe Rogan represents regular people. He represents the middle of the road, and that's what Democrats actually need to win. But the big point for all of this right now, my friends, the issue with getting comments online is a lesson most people must learn. You know, I've got some friends that are like, hey man, I'm getting like weird comments and it's kind of freaking me out. And I'm like, that will happen no matter what. Welcome to the internet. A lot of people, they want to keep their mouth shut. They want to do some kind of content where they think, for the most part, nothing bad happens. No one's ever going to say a mean word to them. Sooner or later, controversy finds you because this is a culture war that is spreading and it's not being abated. So right now, skateboarding is big for us in the culture war. And I think this is really, really funny too, because with these stories in the media, what they're really saying about Joe Rogan is that some random people online got mad. But let me tell you about how the world used to work with the radio and television and all that stuff. If you watch a TV program and got mad about it, what are you going to do? You going to go to the radio station, sit down and do an interview? No. They wouldn't care. So here's what happens. If Joe Rogan did this comedy special 20 years ago, let's say 30 years ago, pre-strong internet, well, the network is going to be like, we paid a lot of money for this, and we're selling ads against it. And they're going to go to other commentators and pundits and contributors and say, do not mock our comedy special. Do not criticize it. Otherwise, we will never have you on our shows again. So you take a look at Howard Stern in the 90s, and this is why he's able to do the things that he was able to do. Shockingly offensive. The news would write about it. People watched. It was good for the ad sales. Some people might be mad about it. They might hate watch. Didn't matter. It was good for ad sales. So these networks, they've got hosts, these radio channels, whatever. And they say this: if you criticize us, you will never come on the show again. So other comedians, other commentators and politicians would be like, no, look. If I start attacking them, it may rally some support, but then they cut me off from appearing on that network and I can never generate any kind of support again. How will I get the word out? The newspapers will stop writing about me and then you cease to exist. You are fighting to get access to that microphone at that radio station, that television station, or that newspaper. Now we have the internet. Donald Trump's a great example. All of a sudden, Trump was bypassing the media's control and the media's power. And boy, did they hate that. He didn't need him. It was the first time they've ever experienced being second fiddle. Trump could just tweet whatever he wanted to everybody. And that's where we are now. Well, of course, that also means that some random people are also going to post nonsense. You don't need to pick up every little piece of trash you find. Okay. So, I have friends telling me, oh, I'm worried that, I'll put it this way. I've had pro skateboarders hit me up, some of the biggest names, the most prominent skateboarders in the industry. And there's a reason why I don't say their names. It's their choice. It's their choice if they want to come out and say they're voting for Donald Trump. And they don't want to because they're scared. They say things like, look, man, I can't afford to get canceled, or I can't deal with, the hate mob. I can't handle it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bro, it's all fake. It's all fake. So I get this guy hitting me up 5 years ago. Pro skateboarder, one of the biggest names, an older guy, telling me all this stuff about politics, the industry, how he's upset. And I said, say that publicly. And he's like, I can't. I'll lose my job. I'll lose my money. People will say mean things to me. And I'm like, bro, it's not real life. So I get asked by some of these guys. They're like, Tim, you probably get people like yelling at you all the time, right? Like, are you worried when you go out? And I'm like, no. I mean, like, certainly if I order food at a restaurant, I have some concerns, but usually I tip so well, nobody really cares. When we go out to eat, we actually have, we know who the servers are. They intentionally request us. I tip very massively, like 100 to 200% or more, depending on how big the party is. So I'm not really worried about it. Like, case in point, this skate park stuff that's going on. For those that are unfamiliar, there's woke, ultra lefty skateboarders who are just so angry. They're posting all this nonsense online. The Washington Post even reached out to me trying to get a comment, or they're probably not going to run the story. There's no story to run. Well, the reality is Martinsburg, West Virginia is Trump. It's Trump country. It's MAGA country. And most of the locals are really excited that we're building and investing, setting up a skate shop, and they're cheering for it. And then the tiny element of woke people are going online and causing a big stink, getting the weird lefty pundits to write about it, and they think it affects me in any way. It has changed nothing. In fact, let me tell you the truth. It's greatly benefited us. So to wrap this all together, and then to get a little personal, I suppose, when Joe Rogan does his show and it generates controversy and puts Joe's name in the headlines, you're only helping Joe Rogan. Joe knows who his audience is. He knows who's going to watch his show. If Joe Rogan wanted to court leftist viewers, he'd never say these things on his show. But Joe knows regular people, most people, like these jokes. By saying them, the media reports on them, and then people who hear about these jokes for the first time go, oh, that's funny. I'm going to go watch Joe Rogan's comedy special. Free advertising. So right now, let me explain this to all of you guys as a sign of hope, a message to you all, but also wrapping in that a more personal element of the story. When people attack you, ask yourself, do they represent your values, and do you want them to? So let's talk about the skateboard industry. As I'm talking about what Joe Rogan's going through, do you think Joe Rogan is hoping that far leftists watch his podcast? He's calling them out. He's insulting them. He wants everyone else to watch his podcast. So I get these haters in skating who have become obsessed with me because we're investing heavily in skateboarding. Now, some of my friends, in the periphery of the industry are like, aren't you worried? They're going to comment. They're going to comment. I'm like, my dude, if they scream and whinge about me all day, night, I tell you what really happens. The people I actually care to get involved with in business don't like them. The more they talk about me, the more they put my name in their mouths. And it's quite easy to get them to do it, by the way. The more I get hit up by top industry people who hate the wokeness, who hate the left, and those are the people I actually want to hear from. So what ends up happening? You've got this guy, he's making YouTube videos. He gets a bunch of people all riled up. The forums are just obsessed with me. All these posts are making fun of me, they're attacking me, and I could not ask for more. I'll give my position. I'll be honest about it. I'll give my talking points, and then you get the online hate. And what happens? Well, I got to tell you, a guy who is of great merit, who has a family, who runs a business in any industry, is not interested in going online and wasting his time insulting people all day. It's like it was Huberman recently on the Nine Club podcast, a skateboarding podcast, where he was saying like people online who are super toxic, like there's something mentally wrong with them. It's true. Think about these two people. You got a dad. Let's say he skates, he plays music, he's a comedian. Do you think he's going to go online and sit there just insulting people all day? No. Now, what if he starts getting inundated with comments insulting him? He's going to be like, I don't like these people. Why? He wants to make money for his family. He wants his business to succeed. He is the guy I am trying to reach. These are the people who build empires. These are the people who build castles, not the whinging leftists. So when the angry whinging message boards continually talk smack and the YouTubers continually insult, well, I don't want their audience. Their audience are degenerate filth. Like I'm talking about like criminals and haters and people who are just trying to cause damage, commit crimes, and honestly violate community guidelines. We don't want that. That's bad. But guess what? Some people who watch or who hear these things are the good, hardworking people. So I tell you the results. I end up getting hit up by top people in industry, and we've got some plans we're working on. We've gotten pledges from local businesses to build skate parks, thanks to the haters on YouTube. They have helped me out tremendously by being the incessant whingers of low merit. They show themselves for who they really are, how they hate everything around them. So I send this back to Joe Rogan. This is what we are all dealing with. When Joe makes the jokes and the haters whinge, all that happens is the people Joe actually cares about will end up reaching out. He's going to get more guests on his show that he actually wants to hear from. It's only going to improve his standing and his goals. There may have been some fear in the past over cancellation because no one was willing to stand up to the toxicity. But I think that's actually dying away now as people realize the internet is full of hateful, angry losers who never made it, and all they can do is complain. But please, continue to do so. Say my name over and over and over again. Make post after post after post where the only thing you can think about is me. Give me your energy. And I appreciate it. And we're going to do some awesome stuff. In the meantime, we'll wrap this up and we will jump over to the next segment after this one. Oh boy. Crazy story. The mayor of Jersey City fired Valentina Gomez's brother. This is a Republican candidate's brother being fired illegally, people are saying. He was trying to force a Republican's brother to make a pro-Democrat statement and fired him over it. And now people are saying, you may have broken the law there, Democrat mayor. May have just cost yourself your chance of being the governor. We'll talk about that in the next segment coming up at 6 p.m. Smash the like button. Follow me on X. And in the meantime, for those that are watching live, we will read your super chats. So let's get it.